Assalamu alaikum. Today you can say it's our first online lecture, and as we discussed in the class, that in face-to-face classes we will mostly discuss or we will read about the theoretical stuff, and in this online class we will try to do the lab work because the lab of applied physics is not related to the apparatus. It's just giving you a knowledge of the apparatus which we previously used in our colleges. So actually this first lab to study and understand the working principle of a Vernier caliper. In last lecture I also give you an overview and some type of industrial use, so that in this lecture if you have any issues with the internet or issues with the online lecture or watching the videos, so it will not affect a lot on your understanding because we already give an overview of this lecture. If it all goes well, then from the next week we will continue like this. So let's start this lab work. So in this we will study about the what is Vernier caliper, how it works, why we use it, scales for the Vernier caliper, what are the parts and the functions of a Vernier caliper, what is the least count formula that mostly we already studied in our college. The main thing which we will discuss is the industrial applications of Vernier caliper. So let's start. What is Vernier caliper? So we know that a Vernier caliper is some type of measuring instrument for the dimensions, to measuring the depth of some object, measuring the external of object or the internal of the objects from its jaws. So in simple words, a Vernier caliper is a dimension measuring instrument. We mostly use this to measure the small objects. This is the diagram for the Vernier caliper, and it has main 8 parts. So as we see, the first part is the outside jaws. If we want to measure any external length, like if we have a screw and we want to measure the length of that screw, instead of using the ruler, we can also measure in our daily life with a ruler or inch tape, but a Vernier caliper will give you an exact reading for that. We will put that screw between these two jaws, this one, and it will give us a reading here, and this will be exact reading. Why we need exact reading? Because in spare parts, like we are making automobiles or any other industry spare parts, sometimes it's broken and we will throw that and we will bring the new part and we will fix that on the machine or on our automobile. How it will fix accurately? Because it is well measured when it was manufactured. So this well measuring is from Vernier caliper. The second one is this one. These two jaws are used for measuring internal length. For example, there is some type of hollow cylinder or a hollow nut or screw. We will also measure it from the outside, and in order to keep the exact measurement or proper measurement, we will also measure it from its inside, and that inside measuring is done from the number 2 up, or you can say small jaws of the Vernier caliper. Number 3 is this rod, depth probe. Whenever we want to check how deep or what is the depth of that object, we will use this depth probe to measure the depth of the object. Number 4 is the main scale, that is always in a centimeter for the measurement. And fifth is also the main scale. On the downside it's always in the centimeter, and on the upside it's always in inches. The second scale is Vernier. It is also downside, it's always in the, you can say it's centimeter, and on the upper side it's always in the inches. And the last part is the retainer. Whenever we want to lock it on some specific measurement, we use retainer to lock or release the movable part of vernier caliper. This is the digital vernier caliper. Nowadays almost all labs have these. So in this we no need to worry about reading the exact pinpoint readings sometimes, because there are some errors in reading those small centimeter readings. But in digital vernier caliper it's easy to read the measurements. So coming from this analog to digital, we can see that why we are reading the physics. If the computer science people don't know how this works, then they cannot improve this or make revolution in these instruments. They know the working principles of these equipments, then they can offer such type of digital equipments to the industry or to the lab. So here we will talk about the scales of the vernier caliper. There are two types of mainly scales on the vernier caliper: the vernier scales and the main scales. Main scale is mostly in the centimeter and it slides along the main scale, while vernier scale is that small one, this one, which is always sliding on the main scale. This is our main scale and this is the vernier scale sliding on the main scale, that is always in a millimeter or inches also. So this is the clear diagram of the main scale. Main scale is the one which is sliding over the vernier scale, is the one which is sliding over the main scale. Now I'll talk about the two jaws that we said, these ones. These are the small jaws and these are the big jaws. So the upper jaws, which I'm saying the small jaws, so these upper jaws are used to measure the internal diameters that we already discussed, and the lower jaws are for the measurement of the length or thickness or external diameter of the object. So least count, the smallest reading which can be accurately measured with a vernier caliper, is called the least count. Between one scale division, which is 1 millimeter, and one vernier division, that is 0.9. So least count is equal to 0.1 millimeter. So vernier caliper, what is zero error? When the jaws of the vernier caliper are brought into contact, the zero of the vernier caliper must coincide with the zero of the main scale. Otherwise, the instrument has a zero error called zero error, and it can be a negative or a positive. What is a negative zero error? If zero error of the vernier caliper is toward the left of the zero of the main scale, then it is negative, and if it's on the right, then it's positive. So same these two definitions, and from here we check the zero errors. These by joining these two jaws and then checking this zero with the main scale zero, and if it go toward this, then it's a negative, and if it's before that, it's a positive zero error. So these are the cautions we should take while using vernier caliper. Like, jaws of vernier caliper should be closed gently. It should not be harshly, otherwise some type of friction or you will harm the equipment and it will affect your measurements. Zero correction should be applied. Sometimes we never check the zero error and we just do the measurement, but we have to check the zero error also, and we have to then apply that on the real measurement. Both jaws should touch the cylinder. While measuring the jaws, maybe even you are using the upper jaws or lower jaws, both should be touching the cylinder or any type of screw or object you are using. So, what is our part 2? Our part 2 is related to the vernier caliper applications in the industrial sectors. So this we already discussed in detail in the class, but I will give an overview if there was some misunderstanding. So vernier caliper is very useful tools. Maybe in the till now we will be thinking that we can't find vernier caliper in our practical life, but vernier caliper is always there. The first one is steel sector. Mechanical industry. Mechanical industry is the biggest industry which is using vernier caliper because they need accurate measurements for huge or heavy machineries, for making different power plants or any other high-tech machineries. So there we need very exact measurement. So that's why we are using vernier caliper in steel industry. So this is one of the example of the steel industry. It is equally useful by measuring the diameter of different cylindrical objects like steel pipes of different diameter, the accurate measure of the scale operator and micrometer. So whenever they are measuring the pipes or joints, it should be very accurate. Otherwise, once we lost the object, then we cannot replace it with another one, because if there is a difference in measurement. Automobile sector. Automobile sector is also a sector which is using vernier caliper a lot. Nowadays, sometimes we think that maybe in some industry which are progressing a lot, you will not find the vernier caliper physically there. Like in labs nowadays, mostly students are using digital vernier caliper instead of that old traditional analog vernier caliper. Same in the industry. Like in automobile industry, mostly the manufacturing is done by robots. So what robots are doing? They are also measuring and cutting the tools. So the same digital working of a vernier caliper is installed in a robot or a machine, so that it's giving us the same output results but in a more efficient manner. So in automobile industry it has a lot of applications, we also discussed in the class. Medical industry. Previously, vernier caliper was using in the operation theaters, in designing the operation tools, and also in measurement of bones and other organs during the operations. But nowadays also vernier caliper still be used for the manufacturing of the tools, of surgery tools, but in a practical it's also shifted towards digitalization or towards the robots, and robots are doing the same work of the vernier caliper in the medical industry. Scientific labs. Scientific labs, not only the physics lab. For example, I will give you the example of a chemistry lab. In the chemistry lab, whenever they form the crystals, the measurement of those crystals are always measured with the vernier caliper. Same in the case of engineering, science, biology, all labs, we are always using vernier caliper for accurate measurements. Education purpose, especially in our physics lab, in our colleges, we are always using vernier caliper for the accurate measurement. Aerospace industry, aerospace industry is also like the automobile industry. A lot of connected objects are involved in the aerospace industry or aerospace object, so their measurement should be very accurate. That's why we are using mostly digital vernier calipers in aerospace industry, because it is difficult to use analog one. We also discuss a lot of examples of aerospace industry in the class. So this was our lab lecture, which give you an overview of the working of the vernier caliper and the vernier caliper applications in different industrial sectors. In next online lecture, we will study about the another equipment. Maybe it will be a screw gauge or maybe a pendulum. So in our online lectures, we will be studying about this. And still, if you have some confusion about the industrial use of a vernier caliper, then you can write down your questions. You can contact me within the class time. Like tomorrow you have a online class, you can contact me on WhatsApp and you can ask me questions if you have any problem in understanding this lecture. And after that, still if you have some questions, then we can discuss in our face-to-face class on Monday. So this was our lecture for today. Thank you.